And there we are. We are broadcasting. Well, welcome everybody. This is kind of our pre-show. Uh, I'm doing things old school tonight. Well, look at that. I'm getting my echo back. There we go. Let me just change that. There we go. All right. So we are just going to do a little pre-show here like we used to do. No countdown. We are going to make the Google Hangout available to anyone in just a little bit. So we are going to be answering questions and that kind of stuff. So tonight, that's what it's all about. We're going to talk a little bit about this guy here. For anybody who knows what that is.
Oh, ramps board.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about why we don't want to use these.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
An all-in-one solution.
Okay.
That has much better form factor. So I want to talk a little bit about this.
I just saw a post a couple of days ago, and matter of fact, I bookmarked it because I wanted to get back to it. For a board that's made by a company called Ultratronics. It's a 32-bit board, and it will support XYZ and 4 extruders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I see Jerry over in the chat on YouTube. Jerry, would you like to join us? I'll put the YouTube or the link for our Google Hangout in the chat if you'd like to come and join us this evening.
Come over here. Come here.
Hey, there's Robert Reynolds. I am doing very well this evening, sir. Johnny Gardner, welcome, sir. Hey, there's Ray Emsley.
Hello, Ray. How are you?
Raymond Emsley is one of our customers over at the store, and every time he comes in, we get to talking, and before I know it, an hour and a half is gone. But that's typical for me.
So I'm gonna see if I can find this link in my bookmarks again, Richard, and I'll send it to you.
Okay. That's typical for me.
Hello, is my mic working?
So I'm gonna
Your mic is working.
Link in my
we don't have any video on you, Jerry. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's typical for me.
Hello, is my mic working?
So I'm gonna
it sure is.
Link in my
we don't have any video on you, Jerry.
What's going on?
We're getting feedback from you off your speakers.
Yeah, I see that.
Is my mic working? So
It sure is. We don't have any video on. Okay, let me see. Oh, it could be Johnny Gardner's speakers. No, he's got no mic. No. Oh, it might have been Johnny's speakers. He might have just muted himself. So in about 5 minutes, we're going to get started. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about how 3D printing has changed the way we give gifts. So in about 5 minutes, we're going to get started. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about how 3D printing. Yeah, that's coming from your speakers, Jerry. Gifts. So in about 5 minutes, we're going to get started. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about how 3D. Yeah, that's coming from your speakers, Jerry.
Why'd you keep repeating?
So in about 5 minutes, we're going to get started. We're going to talk tonight. No idea. Do you want to jump back in? There we go. So we've got a little bit of people around the house tonight here. That's good. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about how Christmas or 3D printing has changed the way we give Christmas or give Christmas gifts. There's David Stockdale. Welcome, sir. None of us are drunk tonight?
Not yet.
Well, but actually, I'm not drinking tonight. I got no mix.
I'll tell you, after this afternoon, I could use a beer.
I got no mix. There we go. There's Jerry.
I'll tell you, after this afternoon, I could use a beer.
Jerry, have you got a pair of headphones?
There we go. Yeah, I got to grab them. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yeah, a minute ago, kept repeating everything I said the first time like 10 times.
Have you got a pair of headphones?
There, it's repeating again. Yeah, I got to grab them.
Yeah, that's the mix minus.
Yeah, a minute ago.
If you just put in a pair of headphones,
like
then we won't hear it through your speakers.
There, it's repeating again. Yeah, I got to grab them.
All right, Rich, I sent you that link.
Yeah, I see it here now. Okay, we got NLTMW. Greetings, sir. Who else we got here? Mr. Buttram. David Stockdale is here. I did say hi to David. And Rex Waldy. Hi, guys, he says. Hello, sir. We're going to get started here in just about 3 minutes. We'll run the intro. I want to talk about this guy tonight a little bit. For anybody that doesn't know, that's an old school way of starting to set up a brand new 3D printer. And anybody that's using this technology still should get with the times. And anybody that's using this technology still? Oh, who am I getting that from? I think that's still coming from Jerry. Jerry, turn down your speakers now. I think we should be good now. Oh, he's split again. Oh yeah, those look actually pretty cool. We'll talk about what's coming up in the new year as well.
January.
Johnny says it's not me. Johnny, do you have a mic and a camera?
Well, it looks like Johnny he's muted.
Yeah, he's got no camera. He's got no mic.
He's got no camera and he's got no mic. Then how does he contribute
watching the YouTube feed or the Hangout feed? He must be watching the YouTube feed. He must be watching the YouTube feed.
Oh, now he's gone.
Yeah. Okay. Well. 1 minute. I have to go old school mic tonight. Oh, Johnny's back. 1 minute. I have to go old school mic tonight. Do you know what's happening there? Jerry, I know exactly what's happening. It's coming from the YouTube feed. Mute the YouTube feed. You know what's happening there? Jerry, I know exactly what's happening. It's coming from the YouTube feed. Mute the YouTube feed. You know what's happening there?
Are you guys hearing everything I'm hearing? He keeps repeating and repeating and repeating.
Yeah, Jerry, kill your YouTube window.
You know what's happening there?
Are you guys hearing everything I'm hearing? He keeps repeating and repeating and repeating.
Yeah, Jerry, kill your YouTube window.
Oh, he jumped out again. All right. Well, let's run that intro and we'll get things going. Hey, welcome to the First Layer live stream. We're doing this every Saturday night through the month of December because I can't do it at 10 in the morning because I'm at the shop helping good folks get ready for Christmas. So tonight on the panel, we have Ben Brady, my good friend. Say hello, Ben.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And then we have Johnny, who has no mic.
We're down here in beautiful Central Texas today.
You're in Texas. Yes, that's right. You are in Texas. So how does Central Texas differ from Northern or Southern Texas?
It's a little more liberal.
So it's the quality of people is what you're saying.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Well, we're always glad to have you here, Ben. Can anyone jump in on the Hangout?
I'm here now.
TK, everybody can jump in on the Hangout. And there's Jerry from Jerry's Projects. If you haven't checked out Jerry's Projects, make sure that you go and do that here on YouTube. Also, subscribe to him and follow him over on his group on Facebook as well. Jerry, tell people a little bit about yourself.
I've been printing for a little over a year. I've got 2 Ender 3s, one's a Pro, 2 CR10s. I am retired and I print basically 24/7. My printers, you typically never stop printing. And as you can see behind me, I got quite a bit of stuff. I've got stuff you can't see off camera. I've got stuff in the spare room. I've got just way too much to paint. It's my hobby. I love it. And I try to help people out on my Facebook group, 3DHP. I constantly post. And I'm sure everybody watching here is familiar with my name, Jerry Knapp. But anyway, I was watching my YouTube channel with Google Hangouts. That's where all the feedback was coming from. So right now, I'm just talking through my Logitech Brio, and I don't have my new mic hooked up.
Okay, that works. As you can see, I look like a homeless man now. So tonight we're going to open it up. We're going to do some Q&A. We're going to talk a little bit about how 3D printing has changed the way we give Christmas gifts. I know that in the past, and you're laughing at that, Jerry, but you know it's true.
I have a Christmas gift that I'm supposed to have already painted, but since I keep working on other projects, I haven't. That's why I laughed. I do have one waiting to be painted for someone.
I actually am printing out snowmen from Fab 365. And if anybody doesn't know what Fab 365 is, go check them out on the web. It's fab365.net, I believe. And go ahead.
This is my Christmas project. I'm going to be printing out a bunch of these eyeglass holders.
Nice.
Now, the interesting thing about these eyeglass holders is apparently the guy that developed them is in Canada, and he weights the bottom of the pedestal with Canadian pennies because apparently you guys don't use pennies anymore.
We don't. No, we're penniless.
We shouldn't. I hate pennies. They're a pain in the butt.
They are a pain in the butt.
Well, when you go to Vegas, don't you have like penny slots?
I mean, I think downtown there's one place that has penny slots, but very few. Most places that you got to put in a $20 bill. They don't even take change. Most casinos you got to put in paper only.
Yeah,
you know that's the way it is here in Canada too. Most of them are cash only.
I've got a poker machine and a slot machine in my garage I got from a friend, and they take and the whole jingle and in your pocket. That's part of the fun. They just sticking paper in.
Yeah, you know, you get that big pocket full of change, and you just walk by a slot and pop it in, and away you go.
Do they pay out in coins anymore, Jerry?
No, usually tickets. If they take coins, they'll pay in coins. But even at 7-Eleven here in Vegas, everything, you know, if you hit a jackpot, you hit a button, and the attendant will pay you, but it doesn't cough out money. The ones in my garage will spit out money if there's money in it, but I haven't loaded them up.
Years ago,
Go ahead, Ben.
Years ago, I worked for a company in Las Vegas, and we wrote software that would analyze the output from slot machines. It was a fascinating, the whole gaming industry was just incredibly fascinating. So I learned a lot about slot machines.
I've lived here since 1969. I moved here when I was 5 years old from a little town in Nebraska called Murdoch. And then my wife's got relatives, or we do, we're married, so relatives in Texas and in Florida.
Nice. I feel so far away from you guys now.
Come and see us, Gary.
All right.
I just feel so far away from you guys because I'm way up in the white north and the great white north, and it has snowed here, incidentally. Being in the, you know, it's weird because where I was in Manitoba to being here in Alberta, it's so weird because I'm at a much higher elevation. So when the Chinooks come, the snow goes away. When the bad weather comes, the snow comes in buckets.
Here's my latest print that I've been working on for about a week. Cyclops and Jean Grey. I originally done the tongue in white PLA and painted it, and I had a lot of people complain it didn't look real. So then I ordered the roll of clear PLA off of Amazon, which came just a little bit ago, and I got that printed out. So that's been a lot of fun making that. Very nice.
That looks great. So
I'm
yeah,
amazed.
Snowmen. Let me just cut in here real quick, Ben. I'm printing these snowmen for my wife, who's giving them away as gifts. And if anybody has seen this snowman on our Facebook page that Gu had put up, Gu Saint Kwan is his name. The bottom screws off so you can stuff stuff inside the snowman, and then you screw the bottom back on.
Pennies.
Yeah, pennies. There you go. There's Wiley's 3D.
So,
Good evening,
what
sir.
printer are you printing those on, Richard?
I'm printing those on the CR10S. I've been printing them here at home over the past week. They take about 3 days to print at the size that I'm printing them. I'm printing them at 170%.
Wow.
They're pretty big. You could put a whole roll of quarters in there easily. Hey, there's Minnesota Maker. Good evening, sir. So what are you guys doing with your 3D printing for Christmas?
Well, I've made a few things with for the girls at the office, and like I said, I'm going to be printing out these eyeglass holders for some people. And fortunately, U.S. pennies are the same size as Canadian pennies, but it's interesting printing these eyeglass holders because you have to pause the print, and if you don't get the pennies situated fairly quickly, the stepper motors disengage, and then you can't resume the print because invariably you move the Y, and then you've lost your positioning.
Gotcha.
I got easy out. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I got easy out filament sensor from TH3D, as you know, Ben. And if I want to pause a print and I haven't ran out of filament, I can simply trip the sensor, cut the PLA. It'll lock the steppers. It'll stay that way all night if need be. And then I can just reload a filament. It'll heat the nozzle back up and hit resume. That way it won't, slide down or anything.
Or you can just put it right into the slicer. Tell it to pause at a certain point.
Yeah, I'm using Cura, and then their plug-in for pause at Z height. It does some funny things, and I'm going to have to go ahead and edit that script because it's not right.
Gotcha. All right, let's see who's printing something cool over here in the questions. I can see people's chat here, and nobody's not printing stuff for people over Christmas, TK says.
My wife's aunt, I'm printing a birdhouse right now. I got off Thingiverse for my wife's aunt. She lives in Texas, so I've got part of it going on a CR10, and the legs are going, the base of it's going on an Ender 3, and then I have a few more parts after that. And then I've already printed a small Winnie the Pooh off Thingiverse. That's for my son's wife, and I got to paint it yet. It's sitting in a box. So that'll be my next painting project, is get Winnie the Pooh done.
Nice. We've got David Stockdale says he's doing lithophanes and coaster sets.
That sounds cool.
That does sound cool.
Lithophanes would be fun. I would like to try those.
RT Richard Taylor, who's become a fairly good friend of mine, he says, "Sorry, I'm late, Rich." He says, "I was short on Heineken." All righty, let's get 3D Medic Vince. Hello, sir. Printing the skating ring from BV3D for the December Alien Box project. That sounds cool. Skating rink that is not ring.
What is BV3D?
Yeah, what is BV3D? I want to know about that. Now, I'm going to put the chat, or not the chat, but the link to anybody that wants to join us here in the live stream tonight. You can certainly do that. There's now a link. Sorry, try again. What do you mean, sorry, try again? What is going on with my computer tonight? This is so weird.
Hey, Johnny has a mic.
I have no idea.
Well, you're blowing into it, so it sounds pretty good.
No, I don't blow. Thank you.
I was going to say, Richard, are you turned on now?
No, not at all. I'm building a robot for that. For whatever reason, it's not letting me put the link to tonight's hangout in the chat.
Jerry, does that mean you're a Cowboys fan?
YouTube
Yes,
is up to
you like my new hat I got at Kmart here a few days ago. I love it. Cowboys are doing good this year. We got the Raiders coming to Las Vegas, in 2 years? They're spending $1 zillion building this big fancy stadium, and I think they've only won 1 game. Or maybe 2. I'm trying to like the Raiders because they're coming here, but they got to win first. So anyway, but yeah, I love the Cowboys.
The Oakland Raiders are moving to Las Vegas?
Yes. Yeah, they're building a big stadium here.
And they suck.
Well, yeah. Yeah, currently they're not worth watching. The Raiders anyway.
It could be worse. It could be the Canadian Football League.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, the Canadian Football League, even though we get a lot of Americans that come up here and play, as you guys know, it's weird, man. It's just weird. Like, when they fight hard, but they can't seem to win.
I got to tell you, last Saturday's hangout.
Yep.
Last Saturday's hangout cost me $60.
Wow.
Whoa.
You need to
because I did not turn off Wi-Fi on my phone after I adjusted my Wi-Fi light. And it was using the Wi-Fi signal that goes out through my router instead of my cell phone signal. And so I got the bill. It was not fun.
No, I guess it wasn't. Wow. Sorry about that.
Richard, I hear all the time how people say everything is so expensive in Canada and all these different issues with things being expensive. But every time I watch a good sci-fi movie or just about anything I like on TV, they're filmed in Canada. So I don't quite understand that.
I'll tell you why Hollywood comes to Canada. Because our dollar is so much less than your dollar. So you can get basically 25% more for your dollar. So to come up here and film and make a movie up here legitimately costs less at the end of the day. But because they have that extra money now in the budget because of the exchange rate, they spend it on stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. If you've ever seen a way a movie is made, they spend money on the strangest crap.
Yeah.
That's why they cost so much.
Okay.
It's very strange. It's not really that expensive up here. I mean, I look at Manitoba compared to Alberta in terms of the cost of living. You need here to be making roughly about $4,000 a month to survive in Alberta. Manitoba, it's about $3,000. Boy, the room just went quiet.
But then if you go over there to Vancouver, then you really get socked too.
Well, it's weird because different parts of the country, there's different costs of living. And Vancouver is kind of like Toronto. The properties are just outrageous, and that's where you go to retire in Vancouver, Victoria Island, or those places. You go to Toronto to make money. You go to Vancouver to spend money.
You know, I saw a really interesting news article about Prince Edward Island earlier this week. Prince Edward Island has passed a law that if you pass a school bus, it's a $5,000 fine and you lose your license for 3 months.
Wow.
Yep. Hey, we got a question. Yay.
Yay.
Brian Lawrence is asking, being new to 3D printing, I'm getting max temp error. Ooh, I've changed the thermistor several times and it doesn't change. What's my next step? What printer do you have? That's my first question to you. Raymond Emsley just says, "Which printer do you have?" It could be that it's not a thermistor issue. It could be a board issue. Could be a MOSFET issue. Prusa i3 clone. Well, there's your first problem. The Prusa i3 clones, you probably have a board similar to this on that Prusa i3 clone, or like this one. I got all kinds of crap on my desk. Like an all-in-one solution like that. Could be a PID issue as well. You're not wrong about that, Dave. Also, make sure that you're placing with the same thermistor. Yes, you got to make sure that when you replace your thermistors, you replace it with the right thermistor. Because if you don't, it can set off all kinds of strange stuff in the firmware.
Then the additional question to ask would be, has he done anything to the firmware?
That would be another question. Yeah, he's got an MKS Gen 1. MKS Gen 1. Oh, Gen L. That's a Gen L.
Yeah, Gen L.
MKS 2Z version 1.2. Brian Lawrence has. Have you messed with the firmware at all? This is why I should have a call-in show.
A call-in show would be awesome.
What is a good temp to print polyalchemy at? That's a good question because I've never printed with polyalchemy. I would go to their website and find out what they are suggesting you print with. What I suggest everybody do when you get a brand new roll of material, regardless of what it is, PLA, polycarbonate, ABS, doesn't matter. Make a temperature tower, and there's several temperature towers on Thingiverse. Just look one up and then walk through the steps. And if you don't know how to do a temperature tower, we've got 3 or 4 good videos now up on the First Layer YouTube page to do a temperature tower.
So yeah, I'm guessing if you are printing when it's pouring down rain, it's not a good idea because my print just sucks.
It depends on
well,
if it's
that depends on the environment you're in. What was that you said, Ben?
It depends on if it's a warm rain or a cold rain.
Well, it's 42 degrees outside and it's pouring down rain.
That's a cold rain. You're going to have problems.
Yeah. Is your printer near any sort of open ventilation, like to the outside?
No. This house just is not insulated well.
Gotcha. What I would probably do when you're having issues like that is put a big cardboard box over top of your printer, just to kind of keep the heat in and keep any other elements out.
I made an enclosure, but I was scared it would get the board too hot.
Johnny, what printer are you using?
I got 2 Ender 3s.
Okay. What you can do with the Ender 3 is you can actually pull the electronics off and just extend the cabling and then mount them either on the side, on the outside of your enclosure, or mount them underneath or on top, wherever you want it to be. All you do is have to basically extend those cables.
So, Johnny, what's the temperature in your room?
About 70.
70 Fahrenheit?
70 degrees, yes.
Okay. So that's about 22 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
You could probably safely leave the electronics in the Ender without any trouble if you put a cardboard box over it.
I'll have to try that.
Just find a big enough cardboard box to fit over the top of it. That's all.
Yeah. In the old days, we used to use TV boxes, but all the TVs are too skinny now.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, there's Rover. All right, let's.
Remote used to have a long cord on it. You have to stretch it across the room.
Yeah. Remember when you used to have to stand there like this with the aerial?
With the rabbit ears, yes.
Yeah.
My mother would tell me, "Don't move."
Here's a Predator by Sanix Predator model I've been working on. You can see it's pretty cool. A lot of paint to do on it.
Jerry, I'm amazed at the throughput that you have from your printers, because you print stuff fast.
Yeah, well, Jean Grey that I just printed, I loaded all her parts on one CR10 at 0.12 millimeter layer height, and it took over 3 days. Really irritated me because I was able to free up a second printer the following day, and I shouldn't have loaded the bed up. So whenever possible, don't do that. Load a couple parts, don't load too many. And another thing is if something fails, then you don't want to lose everything. You got to watch it string and make a mess so you can get the rest of it completed. But never load the bed up unless you have to. It's not good.
Are you using the Octoprint plugin to allow you to isolate regions that fail?
I don't know anything about that, but I do have 4 pies with Octoprint on each, but I don't know anything about what you're talking about. Or if a part fails, you can stop it.
There's a plugin so that if you're printing multiple parts on the bed, and Octoprint will keep track of what the parts are, and if you have a part that's going south, you can tell Octoprint to avoid that part.
Wow, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Okay, I'll look into that. I definitely need that on all 4 printers.
I just want to address a couple of questions here because we don't have Brian who normally does this for me.
Go ahead.
We've got Hoppy Naki. Not quite sure what kind of name that is, but okay. He says, "Hi all, I'm about to build an enclosure for my i3 Mega that will be a temperature controlled when printing ABS. What's a good temperature to keep the ambient temperature within the enclosure at?" My experience has been don't add anything that is going to add extra temperature inside the box. Just let the box keep the heat in. I've noticed this on other printers I've built. You don't have to add any kind of heating element or anything like that. Just let the temperature build up from the bed and from the heating element. I think you should be okay with that one.
Here's my enclosure I built around a year ago. It's a wood frame out of 2x3s. It's got plexiglass on all sides. I have a temperature probe on the top, or a temperature gauge on top, and the probe is down near the bed inside. And then I got a plexiglass front I can put on if I ever print ABS. And the only ABS I've ever printed has been for printer parts. Whatever parts made for the printer, they're always out of ABS. So, I love it. It's great. It was easy to build. I got a video on my YouTube channel about it. But the expensive part was the plexiglass itself. I didn't want to just have plexi in the front. I wanted to have it all the way around. So plexiglass.
Jerry, what do you have your probe set? If you're going to be printing ABS, what do you set your probe at?
I just, whatever I think the bed temp is 100 on ABS or something like that. The probe just lets me know what the temperature is inside. I don't set it at anything. It just lets me know, just for shits and giggles, what the temperature happens to be down near the bed. It doesn't really serve a purpose. Whatever settings the slicer requires for ABS is what I'm printing at.
If it was me, I have a printer that's dedicated to ABS. My first printer was a DaVinci 1.0A, and it's built as an enclosed printer, and the only material that prints well is ABS. If you try to print PLA, it's too warm because there's no cooling in it, and so typically that inside ambient temperature is about 90 degrees.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, between 90 91 degrees.
Yeah.
And then when I'm printing PLA, go ahead.
I was just going to move on here to another question. Brian Lawrence says, now that I've confirmed that I have a piece of SHIT, what would be the next printer to move up to without giving up my firstborn son? I would say the Ender 3 Pro would probably be a good choice.
Yeah, I love my Ender 3.
I don't know if I would buy the Pro. I'd buy an Ender 3 and upgrade the power supply if the power supply was going to be the issue. Here's
the thing that, like, for us here in Canada, we were selling the Ender 3 at $329. That was after exchange and our little bit of markup and shipping and that sort of thing. We're only selling the Pro for $20 more.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's $349 for the Pro. So yeah, go ahead and just buy a Pro.
Oh, Richard, last week on your show, you were talking about the Ender 3, the stepper motors having a pressed-on gear. And I had made a comment on your video that mine were not pressed on. They have set screws.
I did see that. And here's what happened is the first generation of Pros that came out had the grub screw gear, and it had a flat spot on the actual shaft of the stepper motor. The new ones, because I just built 2 yesterday for a client, they are all pressed on gears.
Okay, my shaft is too short because I went to take out the grub screw so I could put my dampener on, and the shaft is too short. I can't slide the gear out far enough. It'll barely grab and probably wobble. So I'm gonna have to replace the stepper motor.
Can you turn the pulley around, Jerry?
That's what I did on mine.
I'd have to look at it. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, the Ender 3 Pros, all of the generation that's out now, all those gears are press fit on there.
Wow.
I just want to quickly hit on a couple more questions here. Brian Lawrence, we answered that one. 616 3D Print says, I print all the time. I set it 205 and never had a problem. Rasmus Wallen, am I going to do a CR10S Pro review? I will be doing one as soon as we can get one here in Canada. I do not have them in yet. We have ordered some at Spool 3D. We've ordered 4 of them, I believe. And yeah, it's as soon as they come in, I will be doing a complete build video. I'll tear it down. We'll see exactly what's in it for a power supply, board, the whole 9 yards, and then we'll build it all and we'll do a print and see how it works.
You know, it would be really nice if we could buy the CR10S Pro extruder.
It would be.
Would y'all recommend upgrading these Ender 3 motherboards?
Yes.
Yes.
To what?
I'm going to actually put a MKS.
If you want to keep the same form factor and be able to use the SD card and the USB connection in the same location in the control box, then upgrade to a CR10S board because all of the geometries work. But if you don't care about where those holes are and you're going to do something else, then upgrade to something else.
The board I'm going to go with in the new year when we do another upgrade on our Ender 3 is I'm going to use the MKS Gen L board. We're going to put on some 2130 TM stepper drivers. The reason I'm going with that board is because it is a 32-bit board, if I'm not mistaken. And it also has the ability to change the steppers drivers in and out.
The Gen L board's not 32-bit.
No, it's 16, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's 16. It's the other one, the Large that I've got sitting there that we're going to do something with.
Now, that looks like an interesting board, the Large.
It is. It's a very interesting setup. It should be for the money.
What does that board? What does that board run?
Canadian, I think it's 140.
So you're looking at it, looking at about $90 US.
Yeah.
I'd say if you don't have a reason to upgrade your board, then don't upgrade. If you're not having
I agree.
It's not something you want to do. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it.
I agree with that sentiment 100%. 3D Medic Vince, he says, I had an enclosure and with the bed temp at 100C and the nozzle at 240, the ambient was 109 and had no problem. And that's exactly what I was alluding to is I have no problem. I have a Wanhao Duplicator 6 that I strictly do ABS on, and I never worry about adding anything extra into it. Do you guys recommend an enclosure for the Ender 3 or Ender 3 Pro? Good question, actually. Depends what you want to print. If you're going to be going into ABS, PETG, nylon, things like that, then yes. PETG, not so much, but especially ABS and nylons, yes. Now the downside to that, when you're getting into nylons, you're going to have to get a different hot end. And my personal recommendation, of course, is the Micro Swiss all metal hot end upgrade. I think that's probably the best, and economically, it's the best as well. It's about $85 here in Canada, so I think it's around 60 in the US.
I'll tell you though, Richard, I'm having some really good quality prints with my titanium heat break on my
Nice.
CR10.
You just replaced the heat break, right?
I just replaced the heat break. Yes.
Gotcha.
For $10.
Oh yeah, you got that Chinese knockoff, right?
Yeah, from THPD.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm going to do. I bought 2 of them, and I ordered some pipe cleaners and some jeweler's rouge from Amazon the other day. I'm waiting for them to come. And I'm going to polish the hell out of the inside of that second one and put it on the Ender 3 and try it out.
Let me know how it turns out.
Yeah.
So we've got, I've been using PLA and TPU filaments, 616 3D print says. I haven't tried TPU, but we are going to be doing that with the CR10 in the new year, the one that we've been doing the series of upgrades on. The last upgrade is the BL Touch, and I apologize. I was going to get that video out this week, but I just didn't get around to finishing the end of that video. So I have to finish the end of that video. And then the BL Touch will be the last part. And then I'll show you how to make a little light to go on top of your 3D printers, whether you have an Ender 3 or a CR10S or a CR10 or whatever you've got. You can make these lights pretty simply. So William says he's interested to hear about the heat break upgrade on its own worth is on the Ender 3. On its own, worth it on the Ender 3. Yeah, I'm missing a comment there. That's.
I'm assuming he's probably talking about the heat break that I'm using. It's an all titanium heat break. I've got it on my CR10S using a Creality stock hot end. It's working very well. There's only been one issue that I've had, and that is that for PLA, you really have to add a filament oiler because PLA is just sticky in an all metal hot end. And so if you run it through an oiler, it's fine. And so, but other than that, you keep your retractions at 2 millimeters or less. And I usually run my retraction at 2 millimeters at 65 millimeters per second. And that's fine. Very little stringing, if at all, depending on what filament I'm using. And so far, I'm very pleased with it. And I'm just, everything else is stock on the machine.
You know, when you talk about a filament oiler, I tried those early on when I got into 3D printing, and I never had very good success with them. I always thought that they, at the end of the day, they just kind of added a bunch of crap into my print, and my prints were turning out actually pretty bad. So I took it off, and I've never put one on. I don't think I've ever had the need to put one on.
But it seems to be working
for you.
If I think I'm having trouble, I run to the cupboard, I use my thumb, I get a little Crisco on my fingers, and I go over and, slap a little on the line here and there, maybe once every few weeks.
Canadian Maker Project is with us in the chat. He was supposed to be on the show tonight, but then he told me he had other things to do, so I'm not sure why he's in the chat.
Hello, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
So let's quickly talk about Ben. Before we really open this up to everybody to come in and join us. Ben, you're going to be starting your channel here pretty soon, aren't you?
Yes, I am. And I think I'm going to focus on helping people with their settings in the various slicers. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting up my video stuff so that I can show really clear screen captures of settings, because a lot of the YouTube videos we see of people that show their settings in their slicers, if you're looking at them, unless you're on a big screen, you just can't read the values that are in there. So I'm going to focus on those kinds of things.
Excellent, excellent. So you got to let us know when you get that up.
Yeah, I will.
I've had 1,000 people ask me since I've been in the 3D printing, you know, what settings do you use, Jerry? You know, this and that for your models. I slice with S3D. If you go to the CR10 group or on my page, I use Chris Elkin's profile for S3D. It's, you know, that's the one I use. It works great. I print everything, no matter what filament I've ever tried. I've used 6 or 7 different brands, 210 and 60. Everything is a 210 and 60, and only with white hatch box if I had just a little bit of stringing. But I always print the same. I've never, ever done a temperature tower. I've never needed to. And I don't know. That's about all I have to say other than I sliced with S3D. I paid for it. And I use Chris Elkin's profile.
Do you ever make any changes to the settings, Jerry?
Yeah, a few here and there, you know, minor things here and there. My layers at one time were 654, and now they're 554. They're very thick. If I print a large head or something, I do not have to have any internal supports. It prints thick enough it can go up and make the turn, no problem, without it falling apart. So you don't need any internal supports if your layers are thick enough. So I don't know.
What's your thoughts on the new S3D 4.1?
I heard that there's some issues with it. I was on a group and they were talking about having some bugs with it. And I found a file on th3dstudio.com where you could revert to the other version, you know, the one you had before. So,
well, this morning they just dropped 3.4 or 4.1.1.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm not sure if that was newer than the one I already had, but currently I haven't had any issues with it. I did upgrade. I haven't had no issues with it. Anything going crazy on me or wonky. So
there you go. I mean, I know I've showed my settings online or on the show, I don't know how many times, but those are settings that work for me. And you make a very good point about settings not being the same across the board for everybody. I print at 210 and 60 for my Ender 3s and my CR10s. My one-hot duplicator 6, depending on the material, if it's black, it's 240 at 100. If it's white, it's 260 ABS.
Wow.
At 110.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a big jump.
It's a huge jump. But if I don't, it doesn't stick to the bed.
I used to print with a lot of colors. When I first got into 3D printing, I bought a bunch of hatch box off Amazon, multiple colors, like 10 different rolls before I had my first printer. They're all like 25 a roll. And a lot of colors, they'll all print funny. Some print good, some don't. I print everything. I used to print in silver or gray. Now I print everything in white, and then I prime it and paint it. No reason to print in colors if you're going to prime and paint everything you make. So if I want to make a base or something, then I'll get a fancy color, or, you know, like a Facebook or YouTube sign. And of course you need red. But anyway, thanks to
we covered that for you, didn't we?
Yes, yes.
Let's see. Ben, can you type something here so I can follow your channel? 616-3D is asking.
I can't, only because I don't have another device that I can type on. I have to run upstairs and get my tablet.
But we will put that on our Facebook page as soon as it's available. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ben, definitely post it on 3DHP too, your channel. You know, you're very welcome to post whatever you need to post. Yeah,
it's going to take me a couple of weeks to get everything finished, setting it all up and everything, but I'm getting there.
All righty.
So this one's for Jerry. What brand of PLA do you get in white?
Right now, I'm currently using Hatchbox because I got a great deal on it at $15.99 a roll. I use AMZ 3D quite a bit, depending on the price. I try to stay around $15.99 and $17.99. I was using CC Tree for quite a while, but then they jacked their prices to $19.99. So I dropped them and I went back to one of my alternatives. And then a 3D Soltech. I just bought 15 rolls of white 3D Soltech that is $15.99 on Amazon right now. So, you know, every couple of weeks I order 10 rolls. And I print for myself. I don't sell anything.
And that Soltech filament actually is pretty nice.
Yes, I've had no problems with it. I used to originally use Hatchbox, and I went to Tyance. Then I went to AMZ 3D White, which prints really nice. CC Tree, which prints really nice. What else? Patchbox obviously prints nice. And I guess that's it. There's like 4 or 5 that I try to stay among on Amazon based on what they're charging. If it goes over $18 a roll, I don't buy it.
You know, Jerry, earlier I was reading some posts, and there were some people that were talking about filament, and they were talking about consistency within a brand. Have you found that the filaments are fairly consistent, or do you like get 2 or 3 rolls that print really well, and then you get one that's just really crappy?
I had one roll one time of AMZ 3D where I was getting a lot of breakage. I was having a lot of problems with it breaking on me. And then I put it away for a while in a Ziploc bag with those moisture deals that suck moisture out. I went back to using it a couple months later and it worked fine. But typically I've had no trouble. I've saved every spool that I've ever printed with since I started printing in the garage. And my son got married last week, so I had to go clean up my garage, and I counted them. I had between 115 and 130 empty spools. And that's just from personal use over the last year. So if you guys print a lot, 130 spools is a lot of spools if you're not selling stuff. I mean, I've got stuff everywhere. It's just, I'm retired and I do it full time. I love it. And, you know, anyway, I'm kind of a nut, but that's what I do. So,
you know, that's the best way to be when you get to be our age, though.
Yeah. So,
a little nutty.
And I've only been airbrushing since about January. A lot of people go, "Oh my God, you airbrush so good." I'm an amateur. I'm not very good. Richard's much better than I am at airbrushing, or Kevin Sharp. I try. I do my best. It's patience. Take your time. Whatever you're painting, don't get in a hurry. Just take your time. And if you want to learn how to airbrush, there's a zillion videos on YouTube. Go watch a couple videos. Bam, you'll have it figured out. And once you try it, it's not hard. 5 or 10 minutes after trying, you'll have it all figured out.
You did a great job on the Cyclops. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, for whatever reason, I can't type into my chat tonight. I'm getting an error every time I type into the chat over here on YouTube. So I apologize for that, guys. I want to get back to a couple of things here. 616 3D print. Anyone use a Flash Forge Finder? I've never. I fixed a couple, but I've never used one myself. Jerry, have you tried the Amazon PLA? That's from David Stockdale.
No, I haven't.
Talking about the Amazon Basics?
It just says Amazon PLA.
I've never tried
it. Probably Amazon Basics. I just got a deal with some Amazon Basics. It's printing really well at 200 degrees. I'm very pleased with it.
Now, red light 34. He's asking, when you prime your prints, do you use a spray can of primer, or what do you use? I'll take the lead on this one. I use a spray can. As a matter of fact, I might have one behind me. Let me see. No, I don't have one behind me. But typically I use the Rust-Oleum. This is black, I believe. Yeah, this is gloss black. This is what I use underneath any metallics. But I do use a high build primer from Rust-Oleum. You can buy it at just about any Home Depot. What about
Walmart,
you, Jerry?
Yeah, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, rattle can primer.
Yeah.
Light gray, dark gray. There's a couple of particular brands I use. Or I have some airbrush primer that's a real light in color. The model that I just painted of Rogue and Jean Grey, I didn't want to run out in the garage and prime it, so I did that in the house, and I printed it real light. But yeah, if you have a gold or you're painting a real bright color, you have to use a high gloss black. If you want to chrome something with chrome paint, if you spray it directly on primer, it's going to look like silver paint. If you put a high gloss black on it, it'll pop like I did with that Stan the Man statue, and the chrome will pop. But you got to use a high gloss black paint.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. So 616 is saying that he's been using the Amazon Basic PLA at $14 a roll. I've never used it. Brian, I know, has used it. Unfortunately, he's not with us tonight to comment on that, but he's used it. He's had varying degrees of success, I believe. Typically, all I use is the Mama Robot plastic. and the house brand of Spool 3D. Partially because that's where the studio is and they're a sponsor of my show.
I'm going to buy a roll and give it a try. And what happens with every PLA that I've tried, it's got a great price. As soon as it gets popular, they jack it up to $19.99, and then I got to go after something else because $2 or $3 a roll when you buy a lot adds up. So I try to stay away from the higher price. But I will try out that Amazon Basics in black and post my findings on my group with it.
I should probably do that too. I mean, I've used a couple of other, like the eSun. I've used the Sunlu stuff. I don't like the Sunlu. eSun's not bad. I don't mind there's sometimes you have to print it a little bit hotter depending on the color, that sort of thing. So congratulations, 616 again. He's ordered an Ender 3 Pro and is waiting for it to arrive. Brian's asking me, how do I like my JD robot in the background? Well, this is kind of a prelude to what we have coming in 2019. We are teaming up with Easy Robot because they are located here in Calgary. And yes, this is JD. He is a programmable robot, so you can program him in his own language, which is kind of fun to do. His eyes light up, and I wonder if I can get him to do anything. There we go. And his eyes do light up there. There you go. You can see them. I don't have anything here directly. My tablet's not here, so I can't control them at the moment. But this is a very interesting project because you can 3D print parts and make your own robot. Now, all of the STLs for this robot, including all the joints, are available on Thingiverse or through the website easyrobot.com. And it is fun. I'm using this actually as a learning tool for some stuff I will be doing in the very near future, which is going to be coming up on the show in 2019. It's a long running project, and I'm building two of the same robot in 2019, kind of in tandem. One will be here at home and one will be at the shop. Easy Robot is going to be used on one, or the Easy B robot programming language or interface will be used on one of the robots, and the other one is going to be done with My Robot Labs. So I'll be learning two sort of languages at the same time. What your favorite filler?
I can't think of a better use. I can't think of a better use for all those spare stepper motors that I have from my Tronix YX3.
There you go. Big robot. What do we got here? What are your favorite filler after sanding to fill gaps? Well, you want my favorite? You show yours first.
Plastic wood is what I use right here. I get it off Amazon or Home Depot or Lowe's. It works really good. It's kind of a white paste. Here, I'll squirt some out here. Kind of a white paste. It dries fairly quickly. It sands real easy. I used to use another product, something metal it was called, but it was really hard to sand. This stuff works great. Go ahead, Rich.
This is the stuff I use right here. Glazing spot putty.
Yep. I have some of that in the garage.
It stinks, but it does a great job. It sands beautifully. If you're looking for something to fill gaps, I highly recommend Milliput, which is a 2-part epoxy that you can find at most hobby stores. Or what is the other stuff that I use?
Milliput always reminds me of that red light, green light stuff from Mission Impossible.
Yeah. Epoxy Sculpt is the other stuff that I use. Both of those smooth with water. They're great stuff. Bondo is good, yes. What is the difference between filament from Europe and Asia and North America? That's actually a great question.
Most of it comes from China, so a lot of it's probably the same.
Yeah. I would say anything made in the US, like Protopasta, which is 100% made in the US. Nothing comes from overseas. Everything is sourced right in the US, and all of the raw materials are fabricated in the US. I would say that their filament is a great premium brand. It's also a fun brand because they've got all kinds of different smells in some of their PLAs. They do a bacon PLA. As far as Europe and Asia go, there are some factories, I believe, in and around Germany. Most of the PLA factories are in Asia, of course, or filament factories are in Asia. I know our house brand at Spool 3D comes from Asia. So at the end of the day, not a whole lot. It's all a matter of whether you're going to get a Conofill, a premium brand, or a mid-tier brand. I would have to say that the Spool 3D stuff, and this is not because they pay me to say this, but I think their filament is just below a premium brand because I've never had any problems with it. It hasn't. Over the summer, I had some stringing issues, but that was because it was very moist this year. But since it's dried up and we're now in winter, I have no stringing issues whatsoever. What do we got here? Oh, Phil Butterworth is asking me InMove. For anybody that does not know, InMove is a 3D open source 3D robot project. All the STLs are available online. It does take a number of servos to build. It is not completely autonomous, but it can be made that way. And I know over the last couple of years, Gael Lavarin is the designer, and he's created legs for it now. Bondo, yes. Where is a link to Jerry and his stuff?
3D HP on Facebook or on YouTube. 3D HP.
3D HP. There you go. And go and subscribe to him, and also join his group over on Facebook as well. William Patton, I'm sorry, says, try buy filament local. Anything shipped from overseas tends to have some kind of environmental damage, too hot, too much humidity, ABS especially.
David Stockdale.
What's that?
David Stockdale just dropped in. I approved him.
Okay. There you go, David. William, I would say most of what you're going to buy locally is probably made in China. But to buy direct from China, you're usually getting the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. So like I said, like we get all of our house brand at Spool 3D from China, and I believe filament.ca here in Canada also gets from the same factory. Now, their quality and our quality are drastically different. I have heard that filaments.ca filaments are brittle and people have had all kinds of problems with them. So when they found ours, they just kind of stayed with ours. James McGregor's eavesdropping. There's
hello,
Chris.
James.
So yeah, again, when it comes to filament, find a brand you like and stick with it. If I could get Mamarubot directly shipped to my door, I would, but fortunately enough for me, Spool 3D does sell it. So, and their colors are all Pantone colors, so they will match a Pantone color chart, which I think is great. Their purple is amazing.
You talking about Mamarubot?
Yeah, Mamarubot.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Mamarubot. They also sell printers too. We've got a couple of them on the showroom floor. The biggest one that we have is a 400 by 400 by 500. It's a true Core XY. And it prints beautifully. We've printed like Iron Man armor on this thing already, and it's done it no problem.
So how many printers do you have on the floor at the shop there, Richard?
If I had to count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, empty space, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think there's 14 FDM printers, and there's 3 SLA DLP printers.
Okay.
On the floor.
And are they going all the time?
No, we just don't have time to load up projects on them all the time. So every once in a while, we'll pick one. If we need something really big, we'll go to the Mamarubot and we'll use the Mamarubot. If we're doing something that doesn't need a lot of detail, because we've taken the CR10S that's on our floor and we put a Volcano hot end on it, that one will print at 0.8 or 1.2.
I have a 3D printing friend here in Las Vegas that has 2 printers, and his girlfriend will not let him print during the week. He can only print on the weekends when he's home and can watch it. She's afraid the house is going to burn down like that ANET did in that video that everybody's seen a long time ago. But if you have thermal runaway protection enabled in your CR10s, it's not going to happen. And with the printers that I have since last August, I've been printing almost 24/7, never ever had an issue whatsoever. If I ever did have an issue, I have insurance, but it's not going to happen. I mean,
yeah, I'm the same way. I run my printers 24/7 here. You can probably hear one going in the background now. And I have no problems. It's pretty easy.
Just update your firmware and you should be fine.
Yeah. I actually don't have anything printing right now, but Christy does.
Well, that's important as long as you let your wife use your printers.
Well, no. She has her own printers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Christy has her own printers, and she is just going like gangbusters, printing Christmas ornaments and dollhouse furniture and all kinds of stuff.
Ben, my wife Brandy was wondering why you're printing with pink a lot. Is that your wife's color, or do you like pink? I guess a lot of the stuff you printed has been in pink, and my wife was wondering about it. Well,
I had a project. A good friend of mine who lives in up near Dallas in a place called the Colony. He was commissioned to do some artwork for Texas Oncology. One is for breast cancer awareness, and one is for ovarian cancer.
Okay.
And so I bought some pink filament to do some stuff for him, and then I also bought some teal filament to do some stuff for him. And so yeah, that's why I printed a lot of pink stuff.
There you go, Brandy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have a question for you all. And there's my Southern coming out. Would you guys like to see us build a really big printer on the first layer? We're looking at building one that's 500 by 500 by 1000.
Or how about a hang printer?
No. I have nowhere to put it.
The CR10 5x5 is real big and clunky. I would love to own one, but I haven't found one person online that loves it and has no problems with it. They're just too big and clunky.
It's big, it's clunky, and it only heats up a 300 by 300 area.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if you pay that much money, why can't they give you a proper heated bed for that, a bigger bed mat?
And, I agree with you on that, because Wanhao is doing that with the Duplicator 9500. That whole bed is fully heated.
Well, everybody that I know that has one of those CR10S5s, they end up going to a Canovo 500 millimeter bed pad.
Okay.
The silicone pad underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's a great printer.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. We did a upgrade for a customer in the store recently where we put one on, and it was pretty intense to get set up. But
Richard, I've got a question about paint real quick. Kevin Sharp over in the UK, which you've seen Kevin's work, he's been having tons of trouble with yellow paint. It's too watery. It waters on him. He can't seem to work with it very well. And the Creax that I'm currently spraying with, I painted my model with, I had no issues. Just don't get it too close to the model. Don't thin it down too much. But he said he's brushing it on by hand, and it's real watery on him. So I guess try a different brand. I don't know why.
Is he using the Createx as well?
I don't know what brand he's using in the UK.
That would be the first thing I would check, because I use, as you know, I use Vallejo for the most of my painting, and the Vallejo's, the airline is already pre-watered, so you don't have to thin that at all. But the regular stuff, like just their model color, like this white, And this is an old dried up white, but this you have to thin down. And you just got to find a paint that's got a good fill or a good powder base to it. I would say that the Createx is a great line. Of course, Vallejo is a great line. I'm also using some of the Liquitex stuff, and I think that stuff's great as well.
A lot of people may not know this, but a lot of the stuff I paint, I go to Walmart and I buy their cheap dollar paint in big bottles. It's called Apple Barrel. I thin it down, it sprays fine. I have expensive paints in the little bottles. I've got like 200 or 300 paint bottles, but I have tons of Apple Barrel. So just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's bad. You know, some things
that's true.
Don't.
That's true. It's all about the pigment in the paint, I find.
Yes.
So, Richard, do they make tubes of pigment that you could thicken the paint with?
Why would you want to thicken the paint?
Well, let's say you have some that's too thin, like Kevin is talking about.
You can get Liquitex materials that will thicken the paint, like a gesso. That will help to thicken the paint, but it may take out some of the color because gesso is not necessarily clear. It usually has a white pigment to it.
I don't know if this would work, but leave the lid off overnight. That might work. It'd definitely thicken it up quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what I would do is I would simply just put in a drop of retarder and a drop of flow aid, and that, shake that up and just let it go for a day or two.
It's an interesting question that he has. How do you thicken? I mean, everybody thins the paint, but what if you're in a situation where you got some paint and it's really too thin?
Richard, do you have a paint do you use a paint shaker on your small bottles? Because I know the small bottles, if they're too full, you can't shake them unless you pull the top off and you get in there with a little toothpick and stir them up.
Do you know what I do is I go and buy the plastic BBs. You can buy them at any airsoft store. Get those plastic BBs and put one inside your little bottles like this. If they're too full, that little BB will help to break up the stuff that's at the bottom, and it will help to mix the paint.
What about a copper BB? That'd be heavier than a plastic BB.
You may want to watch the copper that it doesn't discolor your paint.
Okay.
That's why I use the plastic ones.
All right. I seen on Amazon they got those battery operated and plug-in 110-volt shakers you can buy, but I hear they're real cheap. You run them too long, they burn up. And then people I've seen, they suggest buying one made for nail polish, or go to Thingiverse, print out something, put it on your Sawzall or your Jigsaw, bring that in the house, and that would definitely work. But I haven't printed one out yet.
I've seen those. I've actually got one in my wish list from Amazon that was recommended to me that works apparently really well, but it's like $110.
Yeah.
It's not
cheap. Richard, let's segue into this issue that you were talking about, the ramps board.
Okay. Let me answer one more question on paint. Jake from State Farm. Hello, by the way.
Hey, Jake.
I got an acrylic paint set on my Christmas Hanukkah list, along with some premium filaments. Well, hopefully you get the good paint. So let's quickly talk about this. Anybody who's been 3D printing for a while knows that this is a hat for a Arduino Mega 2560. And what this is this is your control board for your stepper drivers. This is called a Ramps 1.4. This is a cheap Chinese Ramps board. There are several reasons why I don't like using these anymore. One, because of the quality of them these days, they can burn up really fast. These are blade fuses right here, these yellow pieces, and they are so thin, the wires, that they can break off, and you can short out this board. If you're using a genuine Arduino like I like to use, you'll find that you can ruin that board really quickly by getting a voltage spike. These little connectors right here for the power, they seem to burn up. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but I've had scorching on mine in the past. And
well,
go ahead.
One of the interesting things is that people are buying Ender 3s, and they're finding out now that these cheap XT60 connectors that go between the power supply and the main board are burning up, and primarily because they're not being soldered correctly, and in some cases they're not soldering at all, they're crimping them.
Yes,
Wow.
we did see some of that.
And so, I saw some posts about that, so I took mine off and examined the solder joints, and sure enough, the soldering on those connectors is not good. So,
did you resolder it?
Yeah, I have some XT60 connectors here, so
Yeah.
I put new connectors on, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen your posts, Ben, on the First Later and a couple other groups talking about that issue. Ben has some posts out there if anybody missed what he said.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I think that issue now has been fixed by Creality, because I've noticed the ones that we have at the shop, I've checked them all and they seem to be just fine. So it may have been a bad run, the ones that were made on a Wednesday or a Friday.
My Ender 3 Pro, since they put the fan on the bottom and not the top, as you know, I had to flip the printer sideways to get to it to work on the circuit board, because now everything's upside down. A huge pain in the butt having to do that.
I agree with you 100%. I think they should have just left that board and the fan the way it was.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt anything. I mean, you could print yourself out a little duct.
Yeah.
Big deal. Like 20 minutes in plastic. That's my opinion anyway.
It's a good opinion, Richard.
Thanks. With that, speaking of this board, this is an antiquated way of doing things. And if you're buying a really cheap printer off of, AliExpress or GearBest, Banggood, chances are some of those kits are going to have one of these. First thing I would do, huck this piece of shit in the garbage. That's just my opinion.
Or use it for some other type of project.
Yeah, exactly. Don't use it for your printer because they burn up really quick. This would be great for a robotics project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another thing that I've put into my arsenal in the last year is one of these little boards from Adafruit. And let me see if I can show this to you guys. This is a Pi connector from Adafruit. And it's got a row of pins. What I like these for is plugging them into a breadboard and then, taking my lines off of that from the breadboard. And it comes with a cable, so this will connect to the GPIO on your Raspberry Pi, and you should be good to go.
Oh, lately I found this channel on YouTube called Explaining Computers.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that channel.
It's a great channel, and his whole focus is for single board computers.
Yep.
And he does some awesome reviews of a lot of these single board computers. Yeah.
Christopher is his name.
Christopher Barnett.
Yes. Jake from State Farm. Oh my God, there's so much bad info going around about what to do with that. Yeah, with this, throw it in the friggin' garbage. Go and get yourself a good board. MKS makes a great board. Large makes a great board, but they're very expensive. Oh, what's Ben opening?
If anybody out there doesn't have a 3D printer yet, you're thinking about getting one, or you've ordered one, get on many groups, read all that you can. That way, when it comes, you won't have to ask 1,000 questions, because every day on groups, I see the same questions over and over and over. But if you go to the search bar in any group, you can type in any question or any single word, and somebody's already talked about it 1,000 times. But
yeah,
the more
absolutely.
More before you get into printing, the better.
I'm sorry for all the crinkling, but this
there's a Gen 1.4.
Gen 1.4, yeah, with these are TMC 2100s on it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what I'm going to put this in yet, but we'll see.
Those are a beautiful board. They've got enough memory to hold anything that you're going to throw at it in Marlin. I've used them on all my custom printer builds.
So I'm really excited about this board that I sent you the link for. I want to get one of this. It's a little over $100, and for a 32-bit board with, you know, it'll handle X, Y, Z, and 4 extruders.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this would be a great board to use with an E3D6 diamond head.
Yes.
Which would be really cool to build.
That would be. Jake from State Farm says, other than Duet, Large, and other premium offerings, I think MKS is the way to go for a solid upgrade. And I agree. Large is sort of that mid-tier, because MKS comes in at that affordable. Then you've got Large, which is a little bit more expensive, but you've also got a much better platform to build upon. And then you move up to Duet. What drives me friggin' nuts is these guys who are putting Duets in Ender 3s.
Yes.
It's the board costs just as much as the damn the printer. The room just went silent.
No, I agree with you, Richard. I mean, it's pretty crazy to do that. I mean, but their justification is that the Ender 3 frame is sturdy enough to make that justification happen, because it's a very stable platform.
It is, but I would not wonder why they wouldn't put it on a bigger machine, like even in a 10S, or even something even larger. I mean, it would benefit that more than it would a small Ender 3.
Well, I would guess that it would just depend on what print volume you're usually printing at. I mean, I've got a 10S here. I've never printed anything big on it. I mean, I've printed some things that are tall,
yeah,
but certainly not anything that takes up the whole bed.
Gotcha. Okay, John Anderson says, I have an FT5 with an MKS Gen 1.4 and just put TMC 2208s in it. What a difference, he says. So that's great. Raymond Emsley is saying, do you want me to post the line for the Hangout? Yes. Raymond, I'm going to send it to you in Facebook, okay?
Jerry, what is that?
Darth Maul, I printed on a CR10. I got quite a few big helmets. I could have went a little bit bigger. This is about head size here. So anyway, I print big stuff all the time.
Oh, yes.
Occasionally I have layer shifts, and it's just, you know, occasionally that happens. So I've got to cut and sand and Bondo, and I usually don't do it that well. But anyway, that's just one of my many heads that I got. Up there on the top shelf, got quite a few.
The eyes on that look pretty wild.
I went over them with, what did I put on them? Acrylic, epoxy, a clear epoxy I put over on my eyes. It's really hard getting dots right. You know, you get them off, you know, one direction, one eye's looking one way and one's looking another way. So,
Shut up, lady.
oh, but I got a lot of heads up here.
That lady. No. Jerry.
You need to bring some of those to Star Wars Celebration.
Sure, yes, I am.
Build It and They Will Come is a group in the UK I was a member of. It would cost me around $15 a month, but I was getting so backed up on files from everywhere that I'm no longer a paid member, but I'm still on their Facebook group, and I still got a lot of stuff I could be printing. So anyway, oh, you can see them in the video there. I'm looking at I'm watching us muted on another screen, so I got all kinds of stuff on the top shelf up there.
Show me the lady.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can't see that lady over there. She's in the corner.
Oh, and right here, if you can see it, a Sanix, I have a Terminator head here. It's got batteries on it. You can find the switch. There we go. Where that lights up.
You know, I've got that same model, and I'm actually thinking about doing it when I get some time off.
Yeah, I got on eBay. They got 10 millimeter LEDs on there, and I bought a whole bunch of different colors. And anyway.
Why do you have a whole front there?
Awesome stuff, Jerry.
Thank you.
I don't know why I can't post in my own chat tonight. I don't know why. It's weird.
You're traveling incognito.
No, I should be on the first layer. But anyway, I sent Raymond Emsley the link, and he can post it over here in our chat for anybody that wants to come in over the next half hour or so. TK wants to get hold of a Chiron. What is the Chiron?
It's a dual-headed extruder.
You mean the Chimera from E3D?
Oh no, that could be the new resin printer.
Oh, it could be
from Anycubic.
Anycubic, gotcha. I don't think I've heard of it yet. I've
never jumped on board with
FDM. TK says it's FDM. Well, it'll be interesting. I'll have to look into that, and maybe we'll be able to get one from Anycubic.
Resin printer.
Large scale, not resin. Interesting. Have you guys noticed that more and more companies are moving to larger scale printers? Anybody?
All right, oh, so it's the Anycubic Chiron. It's a large format printer.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying, and yeah. I was just asking that most companies are going to larger scale printers. I'm noticing, and I'm wondering if anybody else has noticed that.
Well, I think probably the big reason for that is they see the success of the Ender 3, which really is a little bit bigger than most of the other entry-level printers out there. And then I think they're still trying to find that sweet spot, because like I said, I do a lot of prints that don't take up the whole bed on my CR10S, but most of the prints that I would do would fit on the Ender 3.
You know, I'm kind of in the same boat. Most of my prints will fit on my Ender 3 just fine. However, I like to upscale things. So, you know, when I'm doing figure stuff, I'm usually upscaling it, but I think Prusa is staying in their lane in terms of the size of printer that they are putting out. But I do believe they are working on a larger format printer. He's getting into all kinds of things recently. Now, Raymond Emsley, are you posting the link or no? Let me see if I can post it here.
So this is the test dog for the Ender 3. This was printed with Amazon Basics Blue. And one of the things that I was doing was I was analyzing this G-code file, and then I took the STL from the card and printed this with the Amazon Basics black that I have on my CR. I printed this on the CR10 with the settings that I extrapolated out of the other model, and the CR10 did every bit as good as the Ender 3.
Wow.
My S3D profile for the CR10 and Ender 3 are the same in my slicer. There's no difference other than one's called CR10 and one's called Ender 3. And the bed size is only everything else is identical except for the bed size.
So, Richard,
yes.
With respect to the ramps board, we know we don't want to use the cheap Chinese knockoffs. What do we want to use?
You want, as far as I'm concerned, I would say to use something that's a fully integrated board. Again, much like an MKS or the Laird or any of those boards out there that have everything built into them, because the science has already been done. There's no need to have this stack anymore. And usually you can get a board for less than the price of the stack and the Arduino board together.
Now, isn't the Duet board, isn't that a stack board?
No.
That's fully integrated?
Yes,
Hello, Wiley.
you can actually add things to it, but you don't add a ramps board to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
There we go. There's Wiley.
How's it going tonight, guys?
Wiley, how you doing?
How you doing, Wiley?
So the Hangout is now free for all, open to anybody that wants to take part. The link is in the description or in the chat over here on YouTube. And anybody that wants to join, I think we can get up to about 10 people. We're going to go for about another half hour here, and then we'll call it quits. But this should give you guys a lot of time. Now, you must have a camera and a microphone, or at least a microphone, to be able to play with us here.
So do we have any more questions?
Yeah, let's take a look there.
Hey, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Y'all have a good one.
You too,
Take
John.
care.
Take care, Johnny.
See you, John.
Stupid phone not working. Can't help you with that.
Well, if you don't got a mic and you got video, you can hold up. If you can write real fast, you can hold up cards and answer.
Cue cards. Now, let me ask you, Wiley. You've been watching the show since almost the beginning tonight. What do you think about these ramps boards?
I've used them a couple times. I don't know. They're all right, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't rely on them all the time. But if that's what you can afford, that's what you got to go with.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that these with a Arduino board are typically more expensive than just buying an all-in-one solution.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, they're getting about that. I mean, that's what I'm doing to the ender here right now. With the here, let me enlarge that a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Bring the ender over. Just because somebody wanted me to do it, so I figured I'd show them.
you got a Pi in there too.
Yeah, I got a Pi in there and MOSFET. I designed a box for it. That goes on the back of the ender instead of in the front. You know. But that's been my little project.
That's on your ender, Wiley?
Yeah, that's on my ender.
Red Light has a question about airbrushes. He's directing it to Jerry, but I'm going to let Jerry answer, and then I'll answer with mine. He says, "Can you ask Jerry what a good airbrush system to start out with is?"
Amazon.com. They're about $75. You get the guns, you get the whole little kit. They do not have a tank, and a lot of people think you need an airbrush tank to hold the air, but you don't. Mine works fine without it. They're real quiet. You can run them in the house. If you don't want to buy a compressor, a little air compressor, you can use anything you have. You can go to Walmart. Even the one in your garage will work as long as you have a regulator on it to crank the pressure way down. So, but I say go to Amazon and spend about $75.
Mike,
I spent a little bit more money on mine.
I know Red Light.
I spent a little bit more money on mine. I actually have a compressor back here, as you guys can see in the corner. I also have a good Iwata airbrush. My suggestion to anybody starting out, though, if you want a good quality brush to learn with, start with a Badger 350 or a 300. They're a siphon-based airbrush. They're single action. They're not a double action. If you want to spend a little bit more money, I would go with a Pash. I can't remember the model number, but yeah, I would go with a Pash. Again, you don't need a little compressor. Jerry, you're absolutely right about being able to use, your car pump, that as long as it's got a regulator on it. That little compressor over there, I think, was about $60. So
I have an Eclipse LS airbrush I'm currently using. The one that came with it was a thing called Master something. I don't even use that one anymore. Master.
Yeah, the Eclipse is a nice brush. Beautiful brush. What is mine?
I do it the redneck way. I actually use a compressor out of a old dehumidifier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, but anything that has enough pressure will work.
Oh yeah, you can get about 450 psi or better out of a compressor, out of a fridge, freezer, anything like that.
Okay.
Mine is an Eclipse HP. This is mine. There we go. Mine's the Eclipse HP from Iwata.
Oh, the last show that you had, we were talking about, or I mentioned alcohol wipes. I wipe my bed with them in between prints. Well, the main reason I buy alcohol wipes, I clean my airbrush gun with it. Once I dump the excess paint back into the paint container, I go over to the sink, I flush it out with water. I use clear Windex is what I usually clean with, and then I'll wipe everything down with alcohol wipes. But alcohol wipes dry out quick. Yesterday, I got some Clorox wipes from my wife, and after an hour, hour and a half, that Clorox wipe was still moist, and I could continue to use it. So I don't know if it'll hurt my hands using Clorox wipes all the time, the chemicals, but they stayed wet where alcohol wipes dry out real quick.
I typically just buy some cheap latex gloves, or these guys right here from Princess Auto. These are the Gorilla brand.
Okay.
I think these they're 5 mil glove. They're not that thick, but I think they work just tickety boo for the stuff that I do.
Okay.
And there's 100 in there, so you should probably be able to get these at Harbor Freight.
Yeah, you can get them at Harbor Freight. That's what I was going to say. Not that brand, but yeah, you can get automotive gloves at Harbor Freight for under $10 per 100.
Do you know what I like about these is that they're just thick enough that they don't split on you, and they don't bother my hands, and they've got no powder in them, so you don't have to worry about pulling your hands out and they being all white. Looks like you got into like a pile of cocaine.
At Harbor Freight, they have 3 different thicknesses. They have like a 2 mil, a 4 mil, and a 6 mil.
Yeah, I use the 5 mil. They just work perfect.
What you're gonna do?
I also use these quite a bit to clean out my airbrush.
Work good in your ears too.
No, they don't. You don't want to stick these in your ear. All right. Thanks for the tips, guys. It sounds like Red Light is out of here. You're very welcome.
I buy those gloves so that I can go and deal with my deceased people.
Oh, okay.
What do you do?
I'm just for the peace down here in Texas, and we have to do inquests when we have unattended deaths.
Yeah.
And so naturally you don't want to be handling cadavers barehanded.
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
We had a couple Friday night. You hear people talk about turn around, don't drown all the time. Don't go across low water crossings. Well, we had a couple. They went through a low water crossing and got swept away, and both of the individuals were killed. Wow. And they were less than 500 yards from their house.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was terrible.
All right, let's get back into 3D printing.
Okay.
What's everybody want on their 3D printing Christmas list?
What?
What do you want on your 3D printing Christmas list?
Well, you need a shelf on the elf. You got the Stormtrooper and Darth Vader behind you. You need to put a little shelf on the elf sitting back there, hanging off
on the shelf.
Elf on the shelf.
I'm going to go put my trooper on the pooper. So,
well, I mean,
anybody way 200.
Anybody with a 3D printer would definitely want some filament for Christmas.
I agree with that. Brian Lawrence says, apparently a new printer.
Currently printers, yeah.
Greg Theron says he wants his first printer. David Stockdale, another printer for my collection. I want time to get caught up. NLTMW says, I want time to get caught up. Time is fleeting.
My current computer room, my hobby room here, is my dining room in my house. It's basically the biggest room in the house that I have for my hobby room. Right behind the computer, I have a sliding glass door, which I have a patio, which is underneath the existing house. And I'm thinking about enclosing that area, moving that door out, and I could extend my computer room. I could have more shelves to put models on. But it costs quite a
carpenter bit. After all.
Move some walls around.
And so how would Brandy feel about that, Jerry?
No, she said no.
So, Jerry, I'm planning on making a trip down to Vegas sometime in 2019. Should I stop by your place?
Sure, you're welcome to stay here while you're here if you want. Save
I'll bring my hammer.
Huh?
I'll bring my hammer.
Okay.
I want a new bed for my tornado because I just shattered the bed or cracked the bed on my tornado last week.
How did you do that,
I thought I just broke the mirror. And when I took the mirror off, the underlayment was broke too.
Oh no!
And that was just from a print cooling off.
A lot of people buy those real thin mirrors from Home Depot or Lowe's. I go to a glass shop, and the ones I have cut, they're like $8. They're like a 1/4 inch thick. They sand the edges so they're not sharp, but they're just a hair thicker than the stock glass that comes on the CR10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's I get them at Menards. You get 6 of them for $10.
Yeah.
That's why I don't print on mirrors, because I would have 7 years bad luck.
I broke so many mirrors. Ask anybody that goes to my channel of how many mirrors I have broken. We do the
I haven't broken any. I haven't broken a one on my CR10s yet.
I've cut so many. I cut them for the unders and stuff, and I just shatter them. I can't cut glass.
Hey, Richard, here's your favorite person.
Hey,
It
Richard.
is too. Hi, love. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Christy, right?
Yes.
Some bad luck. There you go, TK.
Christy, now is that a good drink or just a standard drink?
It's the Coke.
She drinks Coke. But you know what? It was really funny. We went down to Houston earlier this week, and Christy has never ever taken a drink.
Oh.
They got your card?
She did a shot. She did a shot with her daughter on her daughter's birthday. And she said, never again.
Once was enough, huh?
That's the tastiest thing I've ever had.
Here's the thing, though. But if you've never drank in your life, having your first drink, especially when you're later in life, like we all are, could leave a bad taste in your mouth.
I know quite a few people. You know that Ricky Tanner that does some G.I. Joe designs?
Yeah.
He's never had a drink in his life, and he's a musician and plays in bars all the time.
Wow.
And he's never had a drink in his life.
I can honestly say I had my first drink at 11.
9.
My aunt gave me a shot of creme de menthe at Christmas time. And I liked it so much, I had 3. So every year from that point on, she bought a bottle of creme de menthe just for me.
And every time you go out to eat and they give you those little creme de menthe chocolates, you think of her, right?
Every time.
Yeah, Christy,
13 years old. I was living in Mexico.
Christy, me and Brandy mailed you a Christmas card. I believe you guys got it. And Richard,
Yes, we did.
Richard, I think you're having a post. You're very welcome. And Richard, we mailed you one, but I think you got a mail problem up there at the post office.
Yeah, we're still recovering.
Are they still on strike?
No, they got told they had to go back to work. So there's 500 plus trucks backed up in Toronto.
I got my package from Ron from Canadian Maker Project. I finally got mine.
I
I'm
had
not a
2
Christmas
this
card
week.
kind of guy. I don't normally send them out. I just usually go on air and say Merry Christmas to everybody.
So Christy said she had 2 firsts this week. Not only did she get her first drink, she also got her first speeding ticket.
Oh.
Oh no.
And your
Which-
husband's a
You're lucky
JP.
that wasn't drinking and driving.
That's exactly what the cops said, Richard.
Hey, my
Yeah,
brother's a
this is-
cop, so
He was in precinct 3. He said go to precinct 3, JP, and that's the precinct he's in, but it was the wrong county. And I said, oh, well, that's my husband. And he goes, no, it's a female. It's Bastrop County. And he paused. He goes, your husband's a JP? And I said, yes, sir. Well, you should know better.
ouch.
So she'll take the driver safety course. It's going to cost her $112.
I'm going to go fight it. I think he was wrong.
I think you should fight
And
it.
it's cheaper.
My wife just got her first one about 2 years ago.
If she fights it and loses, she's paying for her own damned insurance.
Well, it doesn't help when you go 70 past the Dane County Sheriff's Office on a 45 road.
See, the beautiful thing about city cops, as opposed to the RCMP in Canada, is city cops will get to a point where they'll just say, "Ah, the hell with it," and they'll let you go. Whereas RCMP will chase you down like a dog at night.
But that's because they always get their man.
That's true.
So my golden
Oh.
rule when I drive anywhere, I do 5 over. No matter where I'm at, I set my cruise control. I do 5 over, and I typically never get bothered.
That's usually about right. Tempest is saying Canada Post sucks. Still waiting for my packages. Yes. Here NLTMW says my parents used to put creme de menthe on ice cream for me when I was a little. Probably to calm me down. Probably.
So, Richard, what do you guys have for shipping up there besides the post office?
Well, we have FedEx, we have Brown or UPS, Pure Later. Who else have we got up here?
Everybody we got probably.
Yeah, probably.
You're in North
Yeah.
America.
DHL, all those guys. The problem is that the rates to ship anything outside of Canada Post are twice as much.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to say to us, well, I want it faster, so I want it UPS, you're paying twice the price.
So is Canada Post subsidized by the government?
Canada Post is owned by the government.
Okay. So
If you work for Canada Post, you work for the government.
That box he sent me from Spool 3D was like $25 shipping. That's
Yep.
just crazy expensive. That's really high.
Well, the problem is for us to ship out of the country, it is a little bit higher. Shipping in the country is not horrible.
Yes, it
But
should
shipping
be, he says.
down to the US or even to the UK, and we've shipped stuff to the UK. You know, we've had a couple guys where they've ordered like $40, $50 worth of stuff, but the shipping to get it to them is like $120.
wow.
Yeah, I love Amazon. I got Prime. It's $119 a year, but most things are free shipping.
Yeah, I've got Prime on Amazon too. So
Yeah, you can't
I'm
beat it.
actually the funny thing about Prime is I just realized not too long ago that Prime has a whole bunch of services once you pay that $70 a year.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like about Prime is the music. I have Alexa in all the rooms. She'll play almost anything, but if I pay an extra $6 or $7 a month, I can get a better package. For $119 a year, I should already have the better package.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Oh, it's just like little stands.
That's why they should call it almost Prime.
So so for the extra $6 or $7 a month, she'll actually play what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Instead
Well,
of
she plays almost everything. So
I'm
Alexa's great.
using the Google Home boxes here in my house. We have two
Same
of them,
difference.
one upstairs and one in my bedroom. And I've recently discovered that I can build my own.
Yes, you can.
So I'm building one to look like HAL 9000.
Oh, that would be awesome.
2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
You bet.
Okay.
I found the files on Thingiverse, and I've started to print them off. And once I get all my parts together and it all programmed up, I will have a Raspberry Pi version of a HAL 9000 Google Home.
Cool.
Hey, Richard, Christy says you have too much time on your hands.
No, I need more time.
I didn't tell him to figure that by saying, I play with him because he doesn't say anything.
I'm retired and the days just fly by. I woke up this morning and Jean Grey was just getting done on the printer. So I tried to hurry up and glue it together, prime it, and paint it. So I could hurry up and post it online because I've been printing her for like 3 days. They just released the files yesterday and I was trying to get it up online for everybody to watch. By the time I get it done and posted, Richard's show's coming on. So I'm trying to hurry up and post it on a bunch of groups. And then I grabbed some Hot Pockets and here I am. So.
Hey, Jerry.
You know, that red light, he likes some Hot Pockets too, and I think them things are just nasty.
Yeah, I haven't had them in a while. But
Jerry, Christy likes your hat.
thank you very much. I just got that yesterday, Kmart. Go Cowboys. I got a hoodie too that says Cowboys on it. I don't typically wear a hat in the house, but I knew I'd be live streaming, so I wanted to show it off to everybody.
Well, most of you guys know that I wear a hat all the time.
Pretty much.
But I've been growing my hair out. Well, not that I have a lot of hair. And
You can fold it back up on top when it gets long enough.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard. November is over. Are you going to shave or what?
No. I'm actually going to let it grow all winter. And I'm going to let my hair grow all winter. And if I get some new hats in the spring, then I'll shave it all off and back down to my normal, either my handlebar that I usually have or just my nice little tidy mustache. I want to look like a hipster.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys watch the Try channel. We're getting way off topic here, but there's a channel on YouTube called the Try channel, and it's where Irish people try things from around the world. They try drinks, they try food, they try candy. And recently there was 2 guys dressed on there like lumberjack hipsters. And I looked at my wife and I said, that's just wrong. All kinds of wrong. They had the red plaid shirt. They had the beards. One guy was wearing a toque.
Richard, I have a printing question.
Sure.
I've always used a 0.4 nozzle with my CR10s when I print anything ahead, a helmet, and it might take 100, 125 hours. If I was to go to a 0.6 or 0.8 nozzle, what all would I have to change on my settings in S3D to do that? If I wanted to
just have to change the nozzle size.
Okay.
But be aware when you do go up to that bigger nozzle, yes, you're going to reduce your time, but you're also going to increase the lack of definition in detail.
So what if I was going to do an Ironman helmet, something that's smooth? Would it come out smooth or would it be rough? Or
it would be rough.
It'd be rougher, yeah. But you also want to print at a higher temperature because the material's coming out a little faster.
Yeah.
Because I print on my Tornado, I've had a 1 mil, a 0.8, and right now I have a 0.6. And I really like the 0.6. It's kind of a little bit of both, you know. I print at 0.4 layer heights.
Okay, so like I said, I've always printed at 0.4. I've always done a 2 millimeter layer height, but for fine detail or fingers, you have to go to 1.2 to look really nice.
This is a 0.6. I don't know if we can see that very good. 0.6, 0.4 layer height.
Yeah, that's a little rough, and that's about what you can expect.
Yeah, I mean,
what you're going to find, Jerry, is that you're going to have to do a lot more post-processing, especially if you're doing something like an Ironman helmet, because it has so many smooth surfaces.
All right.
I've never tried to print at a lower layer height, you know, like a 0.2 or something, I guess.
But the advantage of that is your overhangs would be better.
Yeah, way better.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Mom, I gotta let you go. I gotta get this figured out. Itchy and hot. I think I plug something now.
Yeah, way better on that one. I would stick to the 0.4 nozzle in all honesty, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm in a hurry.
I think that you're going to get your best quality at a 0.2 with a 0.4 nozzle, just because at the end of the day, the nature of the stuff that you're doing, it's the same stuff I do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more into the figures, much like you are. And at the end of the day, I think they just come out nicer. And I always print my figures at 0.1, so I'm even printing them lower than you.
When I got into 3D printing a little over a year ago, the main reason I did, I wanted to print some certain spaceships from Elite Dangerous, a game that I like to play, and I wanted to print a Stormtrooper helmet, and I still haven't printed a Stormtrooper helmet. You see all the junk behind me. I don't have a Stormtrooper helmet that I can wear. I need to print one. So I've been.
Oh no, that's a different one.
Yeah, but Jerry, you're going to need a bigger printer.
It should do it.
Maybe do it just
no,
fine.
but no, you have a bigger head now.
Yeah, I do have a big head actually. Anyway.
Well, we are really getting off topic now.
Sorry, Jerry, I couldn't resist.
Gentlemen, Ben Brady insulting our customers.
That's the only reason why I don't print a helmet, because I can't print one that would fit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Jerry. Did you ever see pictures of that Dr. Fate helmet I did?
Yes.
Yeah, that was an awesome helmet.
That helmet was printed on the CR10S at 0.2 millimeter layer height with a 0.4 nozzle. It took 80 hours.
What were your thickness, your layers on it?
I believe my layer thickness was 0.2, and I did 3 outer walls, 3 inner walls, and 4 top layers, 4 bottom layers.
Okay, it's like a 4-3-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never used Cura. I only use S3D. So
I use S3D all the time. I had S3D since 2 weeks after I got my first printer.
So what made you do that, Richard?
Well, go to S3D?
Yeah, right away.
I found at the time that Cura was very clunky. So I tried Slicer. I found that to be even worse. At that time when I got mine, there was a 2-week free trial of Simplify 3D. I found it so easy to use, and my prints were coming out gorgeous. I just stuck with it.
The reason I bought mine is if you're going to spend $400 on a printer, all this money on PLA and power and your time, I figured let's just buy the best slicer. If it's free, it can't be all that great. But, you know, Cura has its ups and downs. A lot of people love it, but I've never tried it, so I don't have an opinion. But that's why I went with S3D.
Well, I'll tell you, the latest version of Cura is really nice.
It is. I like what they've done to make it a little bit more user-friendly. The problem is that they don't let people know, especially newbies,
yes,
how to use the software.
Well, that's part of the problem is, you know, all of these Chinese printers, they're sending out a version of Cura that is like 2.5 years old. As a matter of fact, the Ender 3 has 2 different versions of Cura that ship with it, 15.03 and 3.0.2.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and so it's no wonder that people are confused with it.
I agree with you.
Something I'm thinking about starting to do. I see a few people on YouTube do it. They live stream on YouTube when they're cleaning parts, gluing models together, just whatever, and randomly chat with people. And I'm always sitting here at my desk stripping models, plastic flying everywhere, gluing stuff together. So I ought to do the same thing. Well, everybody knows it cleans models. Your desk gets covered, it's all over the floor, it kind of goes everywhere. So anyway, my wife strips a lot of parts too. As long as it's not real fragile where she'll break something, I'll let her do it.
My wife's gotten so good at cleaning parts, I don't do it anymore.
I'd like to teach her how to airbrush or print something, but she's not interested.
Oh, she will be eventually.
No.
She's like 44, 45 pounds, so maybe one of these days.
So TK is saying, I had to get S3D as I made a huge mistake and bought a Dremel 3D Idea Builder. And its slicer won't even allow you to add supports to models and saves its own code, and S3D could save its format. Yeah, I've never used the Idea Maker. I've heard mixed reviews on it.
I've heard that's a really good printer.
Go ahead.
No, I thought you meant the slicer Idea Maker.
Rasmus is asking, are you going to make a video about Ultimaker Cura 3.6.0? Yes, I am. It will be one of the videos we do early in 2019. I almost said 2060. David Stockdale says, my wife finally learned how to change filament after 6 months. My wife knows how to do that.
Christy knows how to do that.
Mine barely knows what the printer is.
Yeah, same here.
And I'm talking the inkjet printer.
Tempest says they just upgraded Cura for the D9. That's always good. Funny thing about Wanhao is they bought BL Touch. Does anybody know that?
Oh, did they?
Did they really?
Yeah, they acquired BL Touch. So all the new Wanhao printers that'll be coming out in 2019 are all going to have BL Touches on them if they've got auto bed leveling.
Nice.
Now, Richard, let's talk about the BL Touch for a second.
Yep.
I have one here in the drawer that I've been thinking about messing around with. The thing that I don't like about it is the leads that are on the unit itself are short. And you always it seems like you have to monkey with making additional connections.
I'll make it easy on you. Go to your local hobby shop and buy a servo extension kit.
Okay.
And they work perfectly. They're exactly what it is a servo extension kit. They're the exact same colored wires, the whole 9 yards.
And how long are they?
Usually about 1 meter to 1.5 meters.
Okay. Well, all right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Over at the shop, we finally got some extension cables in, which were only 1 meter long for the BL Touch. And when I went to put the BL Touch on the CR10S, it didn't reach. I had to actually add another meter, which in reality, all I really had to do was add a 0.5 meter.
Yeah.
And it would have been okay.
Before I got into 3D printing, I was in a foam build airplanes like at a Dollar Tree foam board. I've got tons of servos and motors. I got 3 or 4 planes, real expensive controller. So if I ever get into building robots, I got lots of parts I may be able to adapt.
That's
well, maybe you should follow along with our new project in the new year there, Jerry.
Possibly.
I'm getting ready to build a big robot, and my problem is those end RC cars. And they don't have as many controllers and as good as controllers as airplanes did.
I flew planes for a little while, and I got to tell you, I used to have a fair collection of that stuff.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when I flew RC planes, every time I flew in, it cost me $100. So I decided to get into a better hobby. So I traded all of my RC stuff for my first computer.
My first computer was a 286 I got out of the Nifty Nickel back in 1991. When the internet was just coming around in 91, 92.
Tempest is saying, I actually got a 3D printing for parts. No, that's David. I'm sorry. There's an upgrade kit for the D9. He says, just got it today. BL Touch sensor with it. Yes. So the upgrade kits for the D9 are with the BL Touch, not the inductive sensor. Like
so they're actually doing something to fix the D9.
Yes, they are.
Hey, Mr. Buttram. I just wanted to say hi to one of my friends.
Well, that's okay. You can do that. So David Stockdale says he actually got into 3D printing for parts for his drones and planes. That's actually kind of cool. I got into 3D printing because, as Ben knows, I used to do some prop building and did a lot of model building and that kind of stuff. And the local Star Trek club here in Calgary wanted me to do some stuff, and ended up with a 3D printer out of it. And now I don't make props anymore.
Hey, speaking of props, how's Ben doing?
How's Ben doing?
Ben Edie.
Oh, Ben's doing great. Actually, he was just in the shop with his daughter the other day. He's doing really well.
He makes a lot of interesting props.
He does. Him and I come from the same world in that respect. Jay Drake, good evening, sir. Don't see any documentation supporting Wanhao buying BL Touch. That's because they've kind of kept it under wraps. I did talk with one of the reps from Wanhao USA, and he confirmed that they did acquire BL Touch. So although it may not be news out on the wild, there is a news article that came out saying that they were putting BL Touch on all of their 3D printers that had auto bed leveling. They did not make the announcement that they acquired it, but there was some rumors in the rumor mill that saying that they acquired, and I confirmed with my US contact that they have acquired BL Touch. So that pretty much
one of my CR10s right now, I'm printing a Predator bust. Here's the base for it right here. I forget, it's like 150, 100 or 175%. I forget how big I'm making it, but eventually it'll get done. What's bad about printing a Predator head is the dreadlocks usually screw up most of the time because they're all individual, and as they're printing, even if you put supports on them, a lot of times they tend to break and, you know, have issues.
Yeah, I hear that. I find when I'm doing delicate stuff, I have to slow it down. Tell Brandy I said hi.
Hey, Richard said hi, Brandy, and Ben did too.
Yep.
Sorry. Okay.
Everybody said hi.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here, fellas. And we are approaching 9 o'clock. We are going to be back next Saturday at the same time, 7 o'clock, our time.
I'll put you on the calendar.
And we will have another roundtable. We'll have a discussion again, and then we'll open it up. For those that aren't joining us next week, have yourselves a very Merry Christmas. I'm going to try and get out my 10 gifts for 3D printing enthusiasts. Next week, I'll try and get that video out. And because I'd like to get that video out. I did one last year. And with that said, guys, remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. Till next time.